Welcome back to our DC Comics Roundup. Today we're going to be looking at Batman the Detective number 3, where Batman's friend Ducard has been shot. We're then going to be looking at Joker number 4, where Joker and Commissioner Gordon are teaming up to get rid of the individuals trying to kill the Joker. And then we're going to have a look at Wonder Woman, who is currently in Valhalla. This is the Comicstorian channel where I take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. So like I said in our intro, today we're going to be covering Batman the Detective issue number 3, a storyline written by Tom Taylor that seems to be taking place between other Batman storylines. Within this storyline, he's gone over to Europe to find out about an organization attempting to kill people that Batman has saved. They have deemed those saved by Batman not worth staying on this earth. He's been tracking down the information, and somehow it involves an old mentor of his, Ducard, who has just been shot in our last episode/issue. I'll tell you a little bit about Joker 4 and about Wonder Woman when we get to those, but let's get into Batman the Detective, issue 3. Everyone rushes over to see what is going on as Batman kicks in the doors to the Paris hotel yelling, "I need some help!" The doctors hurry over to examine the man, and Batman informs them. He's been shot 4 times, 2 stopped by a vest, 2 in the abdomen, 1 with no exit wound. His name is Henry Ducard, 59 years old, heavy smoker, blood type 0. One of the doctors asks how does he know the patient, and Batman doesn't answer. Because it all began long ago when Bruce, before donning the cowl, visited Le Café Marley in Paris. Bruce was enjoying a cup of wine when a well-dressed man approached him asking why he was following him. Bruce told him that he doesn't understand, and the well-dressed man pulled out a knife asking again, "Why are you here?" But before Bruce can answer, Ducard looks over his paper and smiles. "Actually, the boy is following me, who in turn is following you." The well-dressed man pulls out a gun telling Ducard, "Goodbye." But before he could pull the trigger, the young Bruce charged in, punching the assassin. As Bruce handcuffs the assassin, Ducard kneels down telling him that he was just beaten by a teenager. That has to hurt just a little bit. Ducard laughs, telling Bruce that he saved him a bit of trouble. The assassin coughs, asking who is he working for. Ducard says, "Well, you'll appreciate this. I actually took the job from 3 separate agencies, which means I'm getting paid 3 times for this." Later that night, as Ducard left the Interpol offices, he takes out his umbrella and flicks a cigarette, asking why is Bruce following him? Who sent him? Bruce steps out, telling him that he knows all about him. He needed to be trained by the world's greatest manhunter. If he helps, there will be an obscene amount of money to be made. Ducard laughs as he lights his cigarette, telling him, "I do like obscene amounts of money. Okay, maybe we can work something out, but not tonight." The next morning, as Bruce entered Ducard's room at 7 a.m., he opened up the curtains, letting the sun in, and Ducard groaned, asking, "What the hell are you doing? First piece of advice, you can't do this and be a morning person. Now go away. No training before noon." For Ducard, noon was about 3 p.m. As the two sit for coffee, Ducard asks how did he lose. Bruce asks what? Ducard sips his coffee. "Someone died. You couldn't save them. The face you made when Dieter pulled out that gun, you were scared, but not for yourself. A gun can be a useful tool." Bruce glares, telling him, "Yes. A lot of cowards seem to believe that." And together, the two monitor the streets of Paris, catching criminals that would otherwise go unnoticed. But one night, Bruce looked through Ducard's files and found an accountant that had been on the run for months. The man had been working with 2 of the largest crime families in the city, and Bruce decided to study him. Why was this man so elusive that Ducard himself could not catch him? One night, Bruce got close, too close, and the accountant caught wind and ambushed him. He tried to interrogate Bruce, but suddenly the door to the small room was kicked off the hinges, and Ducard walked in with a gun. Ducard told Bruce nice work, but he scoffs, telling him that this really isn't his finest moment. He freed Bruce, but as Bruce was getting his bearings, Ducard pulled the trigger, aimed at the accountant. Bruce shouted, asking what he's doing, and Ducard told him that it was pretty self-explanatory. "This man hurt you, and I was hired to kill him." Bruce yells as he punches Ducard, and Ducard throws his arm back, knocking Bruce to the ground. Bruce struggles to get back up, but Ducard kicks him in the stomach, telling him, "Stay down." And I'm not happy about doing this, but just as I'm good at finding people, I'm also good at disappearing. Over the years, the two would have their run-ins together, typically short after Ducard had to kill someone. Ducard would try to explain that what he was doing was for the greater good, but Bruce Wayne couldn't accept the fact that Ducard killed people. However, back in our present day at the hospital, Bruce gets ready to head out when there's a knock at the door. Voices from the other side state that it is the police, but Bruce already knew that they were coming. He calmly walks over, removing the plugs that linked the cameras that he had set up around the hotel, making sure that there were no traces of his surveillance, or of Batman to be found. He could escape. There are plenty of exits, but he has questions, and Ducard can't answer them. So Bruce unlocks the door and the police move in with their guns as Bruce asks if there's a problem. They begin to handcuff him. "Bruce Wayne, you are under arrest for the murder of Henry Ducard." And they walk out. If you're wondering how we got to this point, down below you'll find links to the prior two storylines in our little series here. But now that we've caught you up on issue number 3 of Batman the Detective, let's go have a look at Joker number 4. When we last left off, Commissioner Gordon was hired to kill the Joker. This led him on a wild goose chase, which eventually led to him finding the Joker at a villain's resort where he's hiding out, only to then discover that the Joker needs Commissioner Gordon to protect him because somebody wants to kill him. In your adult life, you don't really stop to think about why you do the things that you do. You lie to yourself and you say that you're going out of principle, not out of habit. You tell yourself that you'd keep doing it just the same if you pause long enough to consider. You get very good at lying to yourself the older that you get. And Jim has always been a better liar than he wanted to be. It's easy to put himself in the shoes of a hypothetical good man, the man that he wished to be, and to say the things that the man would say. But it was easy because he thought that he was that good man, trying to do some good in a bad world. It was okay for him to lie to his wife, to pretend that he would be there for her, because he knew that he was saving lives, that he could bring his righteous zeal to the justice system. But that all changed the night that the Joker shot his daughter and tried to drive him insane. He'd look at himself in the mirror and he did not see a good man looking back anymore. He just saw a tired, broken, old fool who had pushed everyone who loved him away in a pursuit of something intangible, unachievable, something mad. But all of that goes away as a large woman wearing a Bane mask storms out of the Joker's hideout, and Jim watches as she jumps down to take the Joker down. But in that brief moment, Jim had to make a decision. Would the mercenaries care? Would Barbara ever find out that it was him who did it? He could claim the $25 million bounty on the Joker's head and be rid of that devil from the world. Just maybe, he would stop hearing the Joker's laughter when he closed his eyes. All he needed to do was pull the trigger, but he can't. It all feels wrong. He doesn't know the woman in the mask. He doesn't know who these armed guards are. He is seeing a whole world of evil that has never been more visible to him. And he knows that he can't just fall into it. He can't just join this group and kill the Joker. He should call Barbara. That way he can get to the bottom of all of this. But as Jim quickly begins to get up from his cover, one of the guards stops him, telling him that Mr. Desmond would like a word with him. Joker yells, "Ha ha ha ha! Hey, look at that she-bane! It's not a party without a party bus!" Two sophisticated people step out and the man tells Vicky that it looks like they're just in time. Vicky takes out her knives, stating, "Good thing that we put the pedal to the metal, buddy." Buddy stabs one of the guards on his way out, telling her, "You're right. Look at all these fresh throats to slit." But as they get closer, Vicky says that the clown belongs to the Samson family. He's coming back to Texas to meet Pa. Buddy licks the blood from his knife. "Oh boy, is Pa plenty hungry for some fresh clown meat." The woman in the Bane mask tells them that the clown is coming back with her for the death of Bane. He is coming to Santa Prisca for an execution. But Joker struggles. All right. Well, I have a very important question. What's black and white and red all over? It's the nerve gas canisters that I spent the last few days planting around the grounds. I painted them that way, for the joke. As he presses a small button, the gas is released, engulfing everyone in a colorful haze, knocking them all out. Jim could hear the shoes hitting the floor as the Joker walked up to him. And as he looked up at the three faces of evil, Joker tells him, "Shh, go on, Jimmy boy. It's time for the sleep." Later that night, Joker takes out a pair of pliers and begins to sew Buddy's mouth shut with wires that he had sitting in a fire. When he looks over and smiles at Jim away. "We really need to talk. But don't worry, it's only the two of us." Joker starts wrapping the hot wire around Buddy's head. "Well, there's him too, but it looks like he can't hear a thing. He's not even struggling anymore, Jimmy boy. Poor Buddy Sampson. He really thought that he was something scary, like his Uncle Billy. Now there was a man who knew how to put fear of God into you. Should look him up sometime. Joker then grips the wire and pulls it, digging into Buddy's skin. Don't worry, I'm just helping him. Gotta throw a bone to the younger generation, you know? Can't always rely on their good looks. Joker holds the pliers to the fire, asking Jim, why is it that you believe that despite all the things that I've done and all the people that I've murdered, that I will accept help from the shadows? Batman would have gone crazy if not for me. I ground Batman. Batman is a hypocrite, but he doesn't know it. He believes it. But Jim Gordon, you're a hypocrite, and you know it. You don't look at the world like Batsy. You don't look at it like a dumb kid. You're a grown man, and you see that the world is broken. You saw Batman as a way to get at the people that you couldn't get otherwise, because the world is broken. But that doesn't change anything. Not really. So, is there any part of you that believes that Batman would finish this job? Joker rips the tape off of Jim's mouth, shouting at him, Answer! Give me an answer, Jim! Jim coughs. It's not a war that can be won. Joker leans in. Come on. Deep down, there's a little spark, right? There's a part of you that thinks that there is such a thing as good and evil. But you also know that fighting evil doesn't make you good. But you can't stop trying to be good. You just fight evil. Why? Jim stares for a moment. I don't know how to be good, but I do know how to fight evil. Joker laughs. That's why I knew I could count on you. Now, on to the next order of business. Since you're now a private detective, there's a case that needs to be solved. Who pulled the attack on Arkham Asylum? Why does everyone think it's me? Jim tells him, you did it. And Joker bursts out again. Really? When have I ever pulled a job like that and not left a message? Anything that would have given me credit? Why would I use gas more likely to kill people in their sleep than hear the laughter growing from cell to cell? Don't you think that I have 100 more interesting ways to kill Arkham Asylum? There were plans for Bane, Gotham, Batman. Everyone was going to hate them. These were all things being cooked up before my war. But some people got wind of it and it scared the crap out of them, Jimmy boy. Scared them enough that they were willing to kill almost 500 people just to send the right people my way to kill me. Those people are being used. Like you. See, there are these rules in the world. Not laws, but rules. People who care about the rules don't care about the laws. The superheroes, they fit into the rules. And so do most people like me, who put on silly costumes and try to kill the superheroes. We're allowed to keep playing our games as long as we don't break the rules. But me, I don't like the rules very much. Never really been a color inside the lines kind of kid. Jim asks, why try to convince me that you didn't do something that everyone knows you did? Joker tells him, because this is worse. I'm gonna show you how little everything that you have ever done in your life matters, and how little your notions of good and evil factor into this. And it's going to break you. So much more than stripping you naked in a broken amusement park. Anyways, there's so much more that needs to be done first before going back to Gotham. Maybe it's time to stop by somewhere in Europe. Glad to have this little chat and clear the air. Say hello to Barbara for me. As Joker leaves Jim to himself in the middle of the woods, Jim tries to break free of his restraints, but he falls over. Then the restraints are ripped apart and the woman with the Bane mask stares at him. Jim tells her that he's gone, and as she looks around, she looks back at him, telling him, James Gordon of Gotham. Jim says yes. The woman says, you need to go home. You're already drowning in darkness. Head back to the light while you still can. As Jim gets up, putting on his glasses, the woman turns and leaves without saying another word. Next up, we have a backup story in this Joker book, telling us a little bit more about Punchline, a recent fan favorite that came out during the Joker War. She's currently in prison and fighting to be the top dog in prison, but we've discovered, because Harper Row, aka Bluebird, is looking more into her origins, that it really wasn't all her. Right now, she has been sprayed by a paralytic gas from Aiden. As the fire spreads all around Harper Row, Aiden's paralytic gas prevents her from moving while he crawls out the window, telling her, shoot! I forgot to add the numbing agent to the gas. Well, maybe you'll get lucky and choke on your own tongue before you completely get charred. Bye-bye, Birdie! She struggles to keep herself conscious as the flames begin to quickly engulf the basement room. Managing to wiggle herself enough to kick her chair and fall to the ground, she lets her grappling hook fall out. She slowly begins to reach out for it as a paint can ends up falling on her, and then she keeps pushing through the paint. She then grabs a hold of the handle, and as her hand trembles, she pulls the trigger, firing the hook out the window and onto a bike rack. A second later, the cable retracts, flinging her out of the building just in time before the entire building catches fire. As she lays there, Leslie radios in asking her if everything's alright, and she mumbles, Leslie tells her to hang on, help is on the way. She needs to get back to Gotham. She was right. There was another classmate, a girl. Her records were pulled, and that girl is in Blackgate, where Punchline is. Meanwhile, in Blackgate Prison, Punchline wakes up in the hospital bed, and the Queen of Spades is looming over her, telling her that there won't be any guards to come to save her this time. When she told her that the Royal Flush Gang ran this prison, she meant the whole prison. There's no telling who here is on payroll, which guard, which cafeteria worker. And as the Queen leans in to taunt Punchline, Punchline tries to speak, making a sound. The Queen asks, what is it? Sorry? Stop? Begging isn't going to get you very far. Punchline coughs out a laugh. Stupid! Before the Queen has time to even think, Orca swings her massive arm, cracking Queen in the back of the head. Queen asks her what is she doing, and Orca tells her that she would never bow down to a queen who would sacrifice her freedom for her own gain. Orca then grabs Queen, slamming her face first into the ground, telling her that she has changed since they last knew each other, which is lucky for her because that means that she's not willing to kill to settle a petty grudge. But then one of the other cards pulls out a saw, telling her that they, on the other hand, don't have any problems with murder. And as the blood begins to splatter everywhere, Punchline sits up in her bed, smiling. Next up, we've got Wonder Woman 773. When we last left off with Wonder Woman, she became a god, basically dying at the end of DC Metal. When she woke up, she found herself in Valhalla, dealing with characters such as Thor, the Valkyries, and she's trying to discover why people in Valhalla seem to go missing. As the waters around the Fortress Valkyrie begin to settle, Diana calls out asking if she may speak with the Valkyries. Ratatosk asks if it's really a good idea, and Diana puts the key to the fortress in, telling him no, they're going to do it anyway. The gates begin to open, and Diana walks in, and a powerful wind pushes her back as she hears a roaring voice shouting, "Who dares approach the Fortress Valkyrie?" Diana calls out that she is Wonder Woman, champion of the Amazons, recently deceased and the newest warrior in Asgard. She has come to find the missing. The winds pick up, knocking her down, and 3 Valkyries appear, with the first stating, "We know who you are and why you seek us. But hear us now. You are not welcome here, Diana of the Amazons." She stands up asking why. She has come to help, to save the lost souls, and the first Valkyrie, Gundra, tells her sisters to bind her. And as they do, she goes on stating that the souls of the warriors are not lost. They twist in the void like Jörg Dristel's autumnal leaves in the wind. When they wither and fall, it shall be just as natural. The Valkyries are not missing. They have grown weary, sickened by this routine brutality, and surely the champion of the Amazons can understand that. There was a time when there was still honor in battle. Even after the bridge closed, she herself flew the blood-soaked fields of the 2 world wars and bore witness to the horrors that have transpired there. War, valor, somewhere along these words lost their meaning. Diana says that she is sorry, but isn't war part of what they do? And Valkyrie Faye says that it is what man does. Would the Amazons still be warriors if man hadn't forced it upon them? Everything that they do is a reaction to their utter selfishness. The 3rd Valkyrie, Brunhild, states that not everything, but Gundra stops them. That is enough. Can you not see? We are tired. We aren't disappearing. We are quitting. Many already have. Some stayed on out of a sense of responsibility, but it won't be long before they leave as well. We can't go on this way. Asgard be damned, let it burn! And a voice shouts, "Burn, you say? The time of Twilight of the Gods is not yours to determine." Gundra sighs. Oh, perfect. Who let the riffraff in? And Thor yells out, "I have followed Wonder Woman here to recover the fallen. The Valkyries who have willfully neglected their sacred duties will answer for their negligence. Thor demands compliance now. Bow before the one true God." Gundra and her sister charge him, asking, "You dare enter our fortress unbidden? You dare break the covenant?" Thor yells out, "Aye, as you have broken yours! We want what is ours returned!" Diana watches as the two factions clash, but there is something else that she remembers. She remembers all of it, who she was, who she wished to be, the impossible expectation of perfection thrust upon her by all who thought they knew her, the beauty and the burden, the beginning and the end, the struggle and her sacrifice. Thor raises his hammer to Gundra, stating that if she won't return to her duties, then maybe you'll enjoy a nice trip to Helheim. As the hammer falls, Diana catches it, punching him away, telling him that the women are talking. Thor yells, "Wonder Woman, this isn't your fight. This isn't even your proper realm of existence. Wander onto the next and let Thor handle Thor's business." But as Thor jumps into attack, Diana catches him, telling him that without the Valkyries, no one comes back. Your endless cycle of battles will cease and the fields of blood will dry up. Thor pushes back against her to regain power, but Diana pushes him back, taking the hammer, telling him, "And I'll be taking this." She looks at it for a moment and then crushes it in her hands, telling him that hammers aren't really her style. Thor gets up shouting, "What did you do?" And Diana tells him that she freed him. Sitsko was manipulating his subconscious, enhancing his negative traits, even letting him speak. No wonder the Valkyries no longer wish to aid Asgard. Thor looks up. "I am so confused." Diana tells him that she knows, but soon everything fades, and Diana awakens in her mind. She tells Sitsko that he is not welcome here, and Sitsko says, "Yeah, you have no right to meddle in my Asgardian business. Once again, you have forced my hand. I am the one in control. I have it on good authority that your mind is weak. You don't even know who you are." Diana looks at him. Well, even though she doesn't remember who she had been, she knew who she was. And right now, she is about to let him know exactly who that is. Diana punches, grabbing Sitsko. But as Sitsko struggles to free himself, he yells, "Unhand me this instant!" Diana tells him, "Fine, no more head games," head-butting him to the ground, and a voice then yells out, "Wow, cool." Deadman walks up, telling her that she was right. The mental strain of projecting himself and controlling all of those weapons on him, pretty taxing. Diana looks at him. "Fancy seeing you again." Sitsko isn't dead, is he? Deadman tells her, "Nah, he's in a bad way, sure, but I'll be able to take care of things from here. In the meantime, you really need to go back to Olympus. Your answers are there." Diana tells Deadman that she doesn't even know what the questions are. What if she needs his help? Deadman yells back, "Oh, I'll be back to check on you. Don't worry about that, Wonder Woman." So Diana begins to wake up, finding herself at a table where the Valkyries and Thor are airing their grievances. And while they all argued, Diana just sat there enjoying a hard-earned drink. But who was going to speak for the tree? Yatatosk yells, asking what about Yggdrasil? And Brunhild says that she thought that they were here to negotiate their terms on returning souls from the bloody battlefield. Now they have to worry about that tree too? The arguments erupt once more, but Diana slams her fist down, stating that Yggdrasil is fed by the blood of the fallen on the battlefield. With fewer and fewer warriors being killed every night, that means that she isn't getting her nutrients. If she dies, Nidhogg will be released, and they all know what that means. Ragnarok. And so everyone discussed and came to an agreement. One day out of every weekly cycle, there would be a break from the battles, a day of peace. A day free of combat when the Valkyries could breathe and dream. And with the warriors returned, the world tree again was fed, and balance was once again returned to the realm. To commemorate their new pact, they inaugurated the first official day of rest, henceforth known as Thirsty Thor's Day. Laughter and cheers soon returned to the battle halls, but still there was one thing missing. Diana let out a sigh. But Siegfried walks up asking why the long face. Don't tell him that she actually missed him. Diana began to kiss him, as she knew that soon she'd be bound for Olympus. But just for one more night, Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, wanted to be an Asgardian. Soon the morning came, as most do, all too quickly. And although Diana didn't want to leave, she knew the importance of a good exit strategy. Before Siegfried woke, she took to Yggdrasil, where Ratatosk would call upon a magical eagle to take Diana where she needed to go. And before climbing the tree, she heard a voice call to her. Siegfried hurries up, stating that he couldn't let her go without saying goodbye. Perhaps she'll need a traveling companion. His schedule will be clear for the next few hundred years. Diana sighs, telling him as much as she would love to have that. His place is here. He takes off his sword, telling her that if he can't go, then at least have this. Something to remember him by. She takes it and informs him that she will always carry it with her, and he leans in, kissing her cheek, telling her that one day they will see each other again. Ratatosk points up, stating that it's time, and Diana sighs, stating that that's her cue. As Diana and Ratatosk climb up onto the eagle to fly across the realm, she wonders if it'll be what she remembers, or if things will be completely different. What happens when you go home and it's not the place that you expected to find? When home is unrecognizable, then what do you do? And as she looks down on the ruined city of Olympus, she says, by the goddess, what happened? And there you go, the conclusion to the first arc here at Wonder Woman, which involved her Asgardian journeys. What's interesting, for those of you who have been at the channel for a while, this is the first arc conclusion that we have had doing these individual issues. So, moving forward, simple question for you. Are you guys enjoying the Wonder Woman portion of our storylines, and do you want me to continue? Or do we want to replace Wonder Woman in our weekly recaps like this with something else you might be interested in? Let me know in the comments down below, and also don't forget to let me know what you think about Tom Taylor's Batman the Detective and James Tynion's Joker issues, because I'm enjoying all of these and I think they're all going to be pretty good. If you want to support this channel and make sure that we never go away, consider going to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian. You get early access, ad-free versions of our videos, and you get to vote on the big stories that we bring to you right here. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and I'll see you next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.